Hello, welcome to Grow New Plants. Today I'm going to propagate some muhly grass. This is actually a pink muhly grass here, and it's just a real pretty ornamental grass. It looks pretty as it is, just with the green and everything. This one's been in a pot a little bit too long, so it's got some dead stuff in it, but it's really pretty. When it's been pruned back and comes back next spring, it'll be really nice. So in the fall time, these things put out these little plumes. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just cut that off because I want to do some trimming on these anyway. That one's just barely starting to open. Hopefully that'll focus on there where you can see it. But it puts out these pink little flower plumes. And when they fully bloom out in the fall, the whole tops of these things will be just covered in this, looks like just a pink cloud floating over it. Some people say it looks like cotton candy. So anyway, so what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to divide them up and plant them into more pots. And I'm not sure yet. I already pulled one of these out and they're very root bound in these pots. So I'm going to reset up and then we're going to figure out, I'm going to start moving some of this dirt off. And then I'm really not sure if I'm going to pot them up big clumps back into 1 gallons or if I'm going to do smaller clumps into maybe 32 cell trays or 18 cell trays. So I'm going to get them pulled apart first and then we'll figure out how we're going to plant them up. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to take a knife. I'm just going to cut through some of these roots on the outside just to get them to start to loosen up. And then I'll start trying to remove some of this dirt off. And they are really, really thick. That is pretty much just one big matted root. There's not much dirt left in there. The roots have pretty much taken over everything in there. So I'm going to try a couple different things. I'm going to start out, I would like to be able to get smaller clumps, like something of that size. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull them out. I may sacrifice some of this, but actually that looks like it's working pretty good. That actually, I like that. So I'll pull that out and I lost some of the roots to them, but those right there, I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to see if I can continue to do that, because if I can do that, I can get these things into 18 cell trays or something of that nature. I'll tell you what, before I do that, I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to take my bread knife. I've never divided anything that was just really just this thick. I'll tell you what, to make this easier to begin with, I'm going to separate these things out through the middle. And then I'm just going to cut this whole thing in half here. That'll give me, okay, so here's what we have now. And the thing is, it's a big thing of grass, but it's still pretty clumped up here in the middle. So I'm going to try that one more time. See if I can just pull some of these apart. I think I'm going to end up pulling the roots off of them. If these things hadn't overgrown, yeah, see, I pulled most of the roots off of that, so that's not going to work very well. I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to try and make them, maybe get like 4 or 5. So I'm going to go right about there. I know this is kind of a bad camera angle here. I'll try and do that where, tell you what, I'm going to put my other knife in there. We'll just try this. I know I don't need all of that. So we'll go with that. That's a pretty nice clump. That should have plenty of roots to get that going back again. We got this one here that I liked. That one I pretty much wasted. This one, a lot of the roots are breaking loose on this one too, so I don't know how it's going to do. The problem with doing this at this point is these things are so tightly clumped together If they'd been divided at an earlier point, it would have worked a whole lot better. That one probably has enough roots here to get it going again. So that gives us 1, 2, 3. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can get this divided into 3s. That should be good for another one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I should be able to divide this into 2 more. You never know until you separate them if you ended up getting any roots with them or not. Yeah, so that should be enough roots to get that one going again. So there's another one. Like I said, this is not ideal because these things have gotten overgrown so much. So hopefully that's enough roots to get that one going again. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of that one. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing with this one here. I'll just kind of split it out here in the middle as best I can. Cut it in half. I'll tell you what, just for this first group, I'm just going to split these 2 in half again, and that should give me 10 bundles. That'll give me 10 plants to start with, and then I'll let these things root out. So there's 2 more. Some of these will be bigger than others, but that's okay. Okay, so there's 4 good ones out of that, and then 6 out of that other one. So that leaves me with 10. So as big as these are already, I'm going to go ahead and transplant them up into 1-gallon pots, and then I'll probably do some more root trimming. So I'm going to go get my pots, get my soil mixed up, and then I'll do a little bit more root trimming on these because I want them to put out new roots. I want them to put out new roots that are not so compact and packed in here. And that way, when these things grow up and start putting out new growth on the outsides, they'll be a little bit easier to divide. So I'll get my dirt and we'll come back and we'll get them planted. Okay, so I've got 10 of these Rootmaker pots, and I got my 10 little bundles here. And I'm trying to decide, I'm gonna try it on one of these and kind of trim some of this excess stuff off the side. I don't know that it's really going to hurt. It'll probably just be organic material. I don't think that part of the root system is really doing much for this. And that'll give it a little bit more of a base to help hold it steady. And it's like anything, any plant, when you plant it, you want to plant the crown right at the dirt level, basically the same level it was at before, which is right here. That's how deep I want to plant it again. So you don't want to bury it too deep. You don't want to bury it too shallow. You want to bury it just right, just like Goldilocks. So these things, you know, you get it stuck in a pot, you see it all cut up, it doesn't look like much. You get it stuck in a pot, and it actually is pretty dang full. So I'll get these watered in good, and hopefully, now I'm going to say something too. There's one of them done. I'm going to say something while I'm working on this next one. This is probably not the ideal time of year. It's middle of August. Probably not the ideal time of year to be doing this. Probably earlier in the spring, or maybe closer to fall after they've already bloomed would be better, but I think they'll be fine. It's starting to cool off already, so I think they're going to be okay. We went from, you know, low temperatures of 80, 81 degrees at night to high temperatures up to about 103, 104. You know, a good day was only got to 100. And we had a cool front come through last week and dropped the temperatures down to where it's getting down in the probably mid 70s most days at night. And I think we had one night it actually got down in the upper 60s, which was really nice. And then in the day, it's only getting up to maybe 95. And that still sounds like hot, but when you're used to that 80 to 100 and you go from 75 to 95, that's a pretty nice difference there, pretty good relief. This one didn't have as big a root system on it. It's one of those out of that 6. So this one's not quite as stable in the dirt. Seems poking me in the eye. I might need to wear safety glasses doing this. So I'm going to pack this one in a little bit more firm just to make sure it holds tight. And when I get done with these, I'm going to show you one other thing too. I'm going to try something because I'm really not sure what the right answer is as far as if these things need to be pruned back as they're planted. In general, things need to be. When you remove roots off of something, you need to remove some top growth too, just for the fact that it doesn't have the roots to support all the top growth. So probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to monitor them real close and see if I think I need to prune them off, and I can prune them off later. But I'm probably going to take like maybe 2 of these and prune them back. I'll do that after I get them all planted. And just to kind of as an experiment to see how they do. If they do better being pruned back, then I'll know that in the future. And you know, I was hoping that I'd be able to get, you know, like really divide these up small and put them like into 4-inch size containers and get maybe 30 or 40 of them. But when you really think about it, if I can get, even just say I average, to make it easy, cut them in quarters and get 4 out of each plant, out of each 1 gallon plant. And my guess on this is going to be these things will be ready to divide again. And you know, this one is kind of late in the year, but say if I was to do this in the spring, I could probably divide these things for sure twice, maybe 3 times. So let's just say I don't get to divide them again this year. I wait till spring. I've got 10 here. I divide them again. In the spring, I'm going to have 40. I divide them again. Then I'm going to have 100 and, wait, what do they say, 8 times 40, so 320. So in no time at all, I can have hundreds of these things. It's just a matter of expense for the pots and the space that it takes for them. But hopefully I will be able to sell them, and I won't have to keep them all at that time. I'll get to a certain point and I'll just propagate them, sell half, keep half to make more with, and then keep going that way. So once you get your stock built up, it's just kind of just keeps going. So these things look better than I thought they were going to. They're I mean, they still look like, you could almost, honestly, you could probably almost sell these as 1 gallon plants. Some of them, this one's a little smaller, but you could probably turn around once these things root out in these pots. You know, once the roots get all the way to the edges of the pot, you could probably turn around and sell these. You know, like this one right here. I don't think many people would balk at that as a 1 gallon plant. So I'll go ahead, I'll fast forward through this last couple. Okay, so I got all these planted up now. So I'm going to go ahead and take 2 of these and I'm going to prune them back. I'm not going to prune them all the way to the ground like you would in the fall or over the winter, I guess. But I'm just going to come in here and just take off this excess growth across the top on a couple of these. And hopefully that will spur these things to put out new growth, start putting out new growth around the edges and start spreading again. So here we go. I now got 10 of these. I think if I had it to do over with just to make it easier, I would just do them into 8s out of 2 1-gallon pots. So that's it. So I will do, I'll do an update on these later in the fall. It's like I said, it's middle of August now, so we'll probably take another look at them maybe around the 1st of October before we get pretty late frost here, so I won't have a frost by October, but we'll take another look at them. And like I said, I'm going to monitor these, and if these look like they're not doing well, they look kind of wilty or anything after all the roots being cut off, I'll probably come back and prune these down, the rest of them down like I did those right there. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share my videos. Thank you.